The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, well, welcome everyone to this meeting of the virtual IMS user group. Thank you for joining us, and my apologies for having to reschedule the meeting from June, but it's a good one, so it's well worth it. Oops. Right, I'm Trevor Eddles. I'm CEO of iTech Limited. We're a mainframe consultancy, analysis and technical authoring organisation. We're the people responsible for the content on the virtual IMS website. And we also produce the newsletters. And if you've got friends in the CICS world, then we also look after the virtual CICS user group. As you just saw a sneak peek, here's today's agenda, pretty much the same as usual. Most of the meeting will be taken up with a presentation, and today our guest presenter is Betty Patterson. She's a distinguished engineer, IMS Chief Architect at IBM, and her talk is called Your Blueprint for Digital Transformation, starting with IBM Z and IBM IMS. And a copy of the slides from the presentation will be on our website later today. And if you missed any of our previous meetings, you can download copies of the presentations from our website as well. The website is fundy.com/virtual IMS, and the page you need is the resources page. Following Betty's presentation and any questions you've got for her, we'll move on to the latest IMS news and the latest IMS related articles. Feedback requests is there to remind me to ask you for your feedback about this virtual meeting. Then I'll give you the dates and times for the next virtual meetings. So that's the plan for this meeting. I'm anticipating that it'll last just over an hour. Anyway, as I just said, today's presentation is from Betty Patterson. Betty is an IBM Distinguished Engineer and Chief Architect for the IBM Information Management System product. Betty is responsible for IMS strategy and architecture and works with clients around the world. Betty has driven innovations into the product to make it easier to manage and operate IMS, and has expanded the flexibility in configuring the product for availability, including the areas of system management, automation, operations, parallel sysplex, and shared message queues. Betty has a long history of leadership and innovation in driving the transformation in IMS. Betty is currently focused on using design thinking methods in collaboration with IMS clients to drive new IMS function while improving usability and availability. And Betty is based at the IBM Silicon Valley Laboratory in San Jose, California. She's also a member of the IBM Academy of Technology. Okay, so Betty, I'd like to thank you very much for being with us today. And what I'd like to do now is pass control of the meeting over to you, which let me do now. Okay.
All right. How's that, Trevor?
Yeah, that's great. All right. Yes, thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you, Trevor, for the introduction. And I would also like to welcome everyone today. Today, we're going to be talking about how you can leverage IMS as part of your digital transformation. This is going to include the why, the how, and the what. So by the time we get off this call, you should have some of the building blocks you need to be able to start your digital transformation. So the why. Let's start by looking at the why. Why you should be interested in digital transformation. Why are enterprises transforming themselves? Now, because I know all of you are related to the IT world, you may be enterprise architects, we may have some system programmers, some database architects, some application folks, and line of business folks. We have anybody on call today. But this collective force here, you might expect me to say, tell me about your IT system, but that's really a tall order. So where do you start? So instead, we're going to look at a metaphor that's a little bit more consumable, a house. So how much do you know about your house? You probably know how many floors it has, how many rooms it has on each floor, how many people occupy each space. And that's kind of easy to answer, right? They're obvious. But architects know that there's a bit more to it. Like some of these questions here, looking at a house, was anything added on? Was the work done to code? Do you have permits? Who built it? How old is the house? Were there additions? Were there blueprints? There's a lot of information that can go along with this. And, documentation of all the data points that drove each decision, is that anything that you might have? Something that would make all the design points look rational? Well, it's unlikely that people have all that information. Some might, but it's pretty rare. Now, still using our house metaphor, these days we're seeing smart house technology expanding. We're seeing people remodeling for accessibility, maybe aging parents or aging selves, broader use of eco-friendly, energy-efficient materials. So the metaphor we're using is pretty transparent, hopefully. As enterprise architects, you're faced with similar responsibilities, and our collective dependence on the stability and robustness of your house can't be underestimated. So what's the current buzz phrase that synthesizes the macro tasks that most enterprise architects are currently tasked with? Something you've seen before here. Digital transformation. It's the big IT remodel. So we're going to next take a look at some current stats around this major undertaking. A KPMG white paper, Navigating Uncertainty, presented the views of almost 4,500 technology executives. Now, they stated this to be the largest survey ever in terms of the number of executive respondents. But it got some really interesting data points out of here. Looking at this, the rate of change is unprecedented, and it's coming from every angle, including angles you didn't know about or think about. 64% of the execs stated that the level of change and its pervasiveness across key areas of our experience, which would be like politics, business, economics, is causing more unpredictability. It's hard to create plans in the face of that. Not everyone has the skill set to embark on the task. Of the 3 skills that 34% of the respondents deemed the most scarce, which would be a combination of big data analytics, business analyst, and enterprise architect, the scarcity of the enterprise architects is growing the fastest, up 26% from the previous year. Perhaps most notably, only 41% of enterprises say they have an enterprise-wide digital strategy. So this is very interesting. We've got people need to make changes, and we have less than half of the enterprises that are actually doing anything about it right now. So what do you think is the biggest impediment to digital success? The biggest impediment is resistance to change. So 43% of the respondents said resistance to change, while lack of budget came in at 25%. So it's not the cost of making the change, it's the inertia. It's just not being able to get started and get going on it. And that's what we're trying to help you with here. Now, digital transformation is the response to the ongoing disruptions facing industry markets. And this is facing all the industries, all the big industries. When you look at insurers and the little devices you can put in your car, and if you drive goods, you get a bonus. If you drive bad, you get penalized. Automotive, self-driving cars, and all the controversy going on with that right now. Retailers, the way people shop is different. People are ordering online, picking up in the store, shopping the store, shopping online. We have stores in stores. There's a lot of change going on, and those companies that can transform their businesses will thrive. Those who are slow to respond may find their competitors, moving ahead without them. We have also seen some strategic partnerships come together. An Economist article talks about the symbiotic relationship between banks and fintechs, how each has nearly opposite strengths and weaknesses that have the potential to be very complementary. Customers' underlying financial needs haven't changed dramatically, but the way in which they want to fulfill those needs have. It's imperative for banks to continuously innovate and upgrade their services to meet evolving demands. When you look at alternative to traditional banking platforms, you can build technology in a year or two, but trust takes as long as human behavior requires. So the banks have the long client relationship with the clients, but they can sometimes be slow to change. The fintechs have technology provided for the financial industries, and they can create new things very quickly, but they don't have any of the customer relationship, building behind them. So when they partner, the bank is now able to produce new things for their clients very quickly, and get ahead of the competition that way. So it's a partnership that creates a better experience for the clients. Now, another interesting thought here from payments.com, small to medium enterprises are missing out on up to 2.1 billion in transactions because a consumer was forced to abandon a transaction after discovering a small business doesn't accept a particular type of payment technology. A survey from Barclaycard found that nearly half of millennial shoppers are using next-gen payment tools, and nearly a third have abandoned a purchase that they weren't able to pay for with one of these technologies. And, I have seen this. I was talking to one of our clients, happens to be a client from Australia, and this person walks each evening after dinner, and often the person stops at a local coffee stop. Now, the person doesn't carry a wallet on the walk, but has a device that's attached to a wristband that allows for electric payment. So kind of similar to swiping like an Apple Pay or something, but it's different. So if the coffee shop didn't have the device to read this wristband, then the shop's not going to make a coffee sale. Now, this is a simple example, but you can see how it extends to other types of shopping. Those businesses that embrace change and embrace new technology are going to get more business. Digital transformation requires something different from these stakeholders. And you can see the stakeholders here. We've got line of business owner, enterprise architect, application architect, operations, and then the system programmer, DBA. Now, when we're looking at digital transformation, it really requires something different, and it requires engagement from all the stakeholders. Now, in the past, most of the IBM Z stack software products focused feedback programs on system programmers and DBAs. Digital transformation requires a new dialogue, pulling in new stakeholders. The IMS response to this new feedback program is the IMS Gold program. We've recently launched this program and are actively pursuing new partnerships with all the personas, including enterprise architects. Now, why this is important is, we're trying to get input from all the personas and from the decision makers. And as part of digital transformation, everybody plays a role. I like this quote here. After several years of relentless hardware and software innovation, The mainframe is at an inflection point from being a supporting platform of transaction revenue to becoming a source of revenue growth and innovation. Okay, this is big. So what it's saying is, instead of the mainframe looking at it as a drag on your cost structure, think of it as a way to get new revenue. Companies that extend the mainframe see much larger business value benefits versus organizations that are looking to migrate or start something new. Many participants noted that reusing mainframe assets to deliver new services was easy and cost effective. Conversely, at least one organization that attempted migration reported experiencing buyer's remorse. Companies that had a higher cultural acceptance of the mainframe as an integral part of their connected ecosystem also returned greater benefits. Innovation on the mainframe is happening. And in the study, the participants realized that the mainframe's capabilities have matured significantly, and they're seeing results by adopting just a few capabilities such as Java, internal APIs, or Linux. As a result, the participants are realizing that they can deliver innovation at a pace comparable to the rest of the IT organization. So, cultural notions about the mainframe have been slow to change. And some of the people in the survey expressed frustration with outdated perceptions in the organization that are not considering future potential. IDC believes that the mainframe has a central role in digital transformation. Businesses that do not take advantage of its broad range of capabilities are giving it value and potentially competitive advantage. The mainframe has always had a vital role in the digital economy and will continue to do so. But it is interesting, some of these stats here. Mainframe processes 30 billion transactions a day, $6 trillion in card payments, 80% of the world's corporate data. It's big. If you think about if the mainframe was gone, what would the world's economy be? Yet, anybody who has been in this business for any time has heard somebody say, we're getting off the mainframe. Now, when we hear clients say we're getting off the mainframe, we have to ask ourselves, where do we drop the ball in promoting IBM Z? So I mentioned earlier that our client feedback program was mainly made up of DBAs and system programmers. They're our biggest fans, and those are the ones that we've traditionally had the most communication with. But unfortunately, they rarely have access to the influencers and financial decision makers who were the ones that said, we're getting off the mainframe. So these current numbers tell us that despite appearances, IBM Z is deeply bound to the digital economy. And the software fuels these numbers includes both transaction processors and databases. And so you can see all your favorites there. So we've got IMS-TM and DB, we've got CICS, TPF, WebSphere, and DB2. Now these are the primary subsystems that people are using in the digital economy. More interesting numbers. How digital transformation can impact your bottom line. So there really is a benefit. There's a cost. It takes time to do transformation, but there's a tremendous benefit from it. So 300% return on investment over 5 years, 200 million in additional revenue per year, 27% lower mainframe costs, licensing costs, infrastructure costs reduced by 18 million. So this came out of an IDC study on digital transformation and how it impacts your bottom line. Now, if you are looking at these numbers and you envisioned a strategic improvement in your IT system, in your infrastructure that would drive these kind of numbers, how do you think your boss would respond? Probably favorable. But this is why we need to get all of the personas involved to be able to do the transformation. So next we're going to look at the how. How are enterprises digitally transforming? All of those questions that were asked earlier about your house confirm what we already know about digital transformation. It is a complex undertaking. Multiple concepts must be factored in: API economy, analytics, DevOps, open and connected, and more. And that list is only going to grow. Some of this we will be discussing in some detail. A new study from the IBM Institute for Business Value, which surveyed almost 13,000 global C-suites, surfaced 3 archetypes among the companies it studied. And these types were reinventors, practitioners, and aspirationals. This chart looks a bit familiar. Based on the findings of the Institute for Business Value survey, there is a new framework for all the work that has been referenced under the digital transformation umbrella. And it's called digital reinvention. And it's even trademarked. We'll touch on it as it does offer some new insights. Now, the study found that a little over a quarter of the respondents were deemed reinventors. So these are companies that have exceptionally well-aligned strategy, IT, and operations who have a culture of experimentation. So these are the folks that do want to try new things. They play with the stuff that comes out and they get ahead of their competition. Now, the remainder were about equally split between practitioners and aspirationals. Practitioners understand the benefits of digital transformation reinvention, but lack some of the capabilities to get there. Aspirationals may not even pursue innovation or new business models. They may be in protect mode and lack skills. So think about your company and where it would fit in. You know, where are you moving on this thing? Next, we'll take a look at a key driver in digital reinvention, the role of APIs and the API economy. Now, what is the API economy? In today's world of ever-expanding interconnectivity, application programming interfaces have emerged as important tools for providing access to data and capabilities beyond the firewall. Organizations increasingly use APIs to bring together an ecosystem, partners, and unlock new sources of value. To take advantage of these capabilities, companies must understand the forces driving API usage, as well as the potential business models and monetization strategies APIs can help create. Successful organizations will see APIs not just as technical tools, but as sources of strategic value in today's digital economy. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the API economy, but in short, the business assets that you have, whether it be data, function, or computing resources, can be repurposed as APIs and monetized. And we've got a lot of people doing this these days. Now here we see the IBM Z digital transformation maturity model. And it's got a lot of stuff on it, but to kind of break it down, the digital reinvention is made up of the steps of expose, evolve, optimize, and modularize. Start by exposing assets through APIs, so that you can get to mainframe to mobile, web, anything, you know, like new mobile apps. You want to make processes more efficient and streamlined with DevOps. This is about how you get your applications out there quicker, more efficient. Optimize through monitoring and analytics to detect issues before they become a problem. And break up your large monolithic applications into microservices to enable efficient reuse. To make the digital transformation story a bit more consumable, let's look at the basics. All of your transactions, programs, stored procedures can easily be API enabled. Breaking large applications into microservices allows you to better reuse components and optimize the functions using the best choice of platform and language. When you extract business rules out of the application and put those in a decision management tool, you allow dynamic changes to the rules without having to change the application. You write new functions in your choice of language using modern tooling to speed time to market. And use the language and platform that best suits the need of microservice. And then to get function out faster, you're going to want to adopt DevOps. Yeah, DevOps is an approach to lean and agile software delivery that promotes closer collaboration between lines of business, development, and IT operations. Historically, development and operations and even testing have been siloed operations, and we see that all the time. DevOps brings them together to improve agility and reduce the time needed to address customer feedback. With continuous delivery, continuous deployment, and continuous monitoring of applications, you can respond to the market faster and build engaging user experiences, scale DevOps successfully without disrupting your business, and build a startup culture that brings business, development, and operations together. DevOps is a topic for both business and IT roles in the organization. The transformation needs to be done in steps, starting with what matters most to the business or the largest business problem. As teams adopt new practices, those practices can be shared to the rest of the organization. So it's really about a mindset approach. It's about transforming, small pieces at a time until you get to your goal. In each stage, you get value, and you need to decide where you want to get started. Integrating DevOps with IBM Z enables automated and continuous delivery, which reduces IT cost and accelerates time to market. Now, this is a sample deploy process that happens to be from one of our customers. And in this particular example, the customer uses GitHub for source code management, Artifactory to manage the deployment of binary artifacts, and Jenkins to automate tasks between GitHub, Artifactory, and deployment process. And then to provision the ZOS subsystems, they're using ZOSMF. So this is just one way that DevOps can be done. And we'll look at some other examples later. Now, some of you may be familiar with Swagger. Swagger is an open specification for defining RESTful APIs. A Swagger document is the REST API equivalent of a WSDL document for a SOAP-based web service. So if you've done any SOAP-based services, there's a similarity there. Swagger's got 3 components. The Swagger editor assists you in building a Swagger document from a web browser by providing a side-by-side view of the Swagger document and the resulting RESTful API definitions. Swagger UI allows you to visualize and test a REST API that's defined with Swagger from any web browser. The built-in testing functions allow you to specify the inputs to an operation that is defined in that REST API, call that operation from the web browser, and then inspect the results of the calling of that operation. So you can see the results. Allows you to test it from the same UI. Now, Swagger CodeGen generates a software development kit in various languages, including Java, Objective-C, PHP, Python, from a Swagger document for a REST API. The resulting SDK can be used to embed calls to the operations in that RESTful API into the software program that was written in one of the supporting languages without having to handle the underlying HTTP transport. So Swagger really helps with a lot of things here. When it comes to DevOps, there are several tools for the various tasks. Some software is open source, others are program products. This chart shows a sampling of the products you could use for each of the task categories, which are distribution, virtualization, languages, runtimes, management, database, and analytics. And as you can imagine, this list changes. Some of these products have been around a long time, and some come and go. And sometimes, what's in favor today is out of favor tomorrow, and something new comes in. So it's a constantly evolving space. Open and connected. This is where we look at open access to IMS data and transactions. We could create RESTful APIs for IMS transaction assets, harness new opportunities with your growing API portfolio, maximize opportunity by connecting IMS on-prem assets to the cloud, and convert IMS from a cost center to a revenue center. IDC paper, the business value of the connected mainframe for digital transformation, lays out the IBM Z value proposition for a connected mainframe as told by mainframe clients. The study reveals key attributes and examines how faster versus slower adopters accrue the benefits at much different rates. The research also looks at how organizational and cultural stances toward the mainframe platform impacted the speed at which organizations made changes. Organizations with a business-first approach accrued much greater value generation. This means that the organizations were committed to finding the fit-for-purpose platform to fulfill business objectives first, and as such are evolving IT as a coherent team that utilizes infrastructure resources in the most optimized way. Companies that look to extend the mainframe see much larger business value benefits versus organizations that are looking to migrate or move off. Participants that had a higher cultural acceptance of the mainframe as an integral part of the connected ecosystem also returned greater benefits. There's a growing realization that innovation on the mainframe is feasible and is being done. So that said, even with the compelling economic benefits that you can see here, the biggest reason for slow adoption of the connected mainframe is inertia. Cultural notions about the platform have been slow to change. And some people are frustrated with that. IDC finds that organizations can and do successfully drive digital transformation with their mainframe and achieve a compelling return on investments. So there are numbers to back why we need to do digital transformation and why it's important. Now this is an interesting slide here. And this is also from IDC, the business value for the connected mainframe. So let's take a look at this diagram from right to left. So on the right, we have laggards. So this is trying to show, where different companies are on the scale of innovation and digital transformation. So laggards have not started to transform their systems. So, in terms of IMS, this might be the customer that, now we're on IMS 15 is the current release, and they may be running IMS as it was back in version 7. Okay, and we do actually, see some of that. So those are the laggards. They're happy with their systems, they're happy with status quo and aren't ready to change. The late majority are using Java, APIs, and mobile to transform their environments. So they're in the early stages of transformation. So they're getting, doing the baby steps and getting good value from those things that they're doing. The early majority has done some web enablement, possibly using SOAP services or other connectors. Early adopters have seen the value of Z-Linux and DevOps. Then there are the innovators. So the innovators have been through all these levels already, and they're pushing forward with hybrid cloud and mainframe as a service. So think about your company, and what you guys are doing and where it would fit in. Where are you on this spectrum? So we talked about the API economy, DevOps, so these are areas that your companies hopefully are exploring. So what solutions can enterprises leverage to succeed at digital transformation? The next portion of the deck is about the what you need to do to get started on the path to digital transformation. Okay, we saw this chart earlier in the Y section. The responsibilities of each of the key personas across the expose, evolve, and optimize pillars. We'll use this as a model to share the solutions that can be leveraged to succeed in each of these tasks. So expose, evolve, and optimize is digital transformation. It's a journey. Incremental adoption through the capabilities helps clients plan and prioritize resources accordingly. You can start from any point on this map, depending on where you are in the cycle of digital transformation. The first level of digital transformation is expose. API enable your applications and data. We want to use this model to show you that you can start small and then incrementally make changes and grow from there. Expose is our entry level for digital transformation. This is where you can start small and capture your low-hanging fruit. In the context of APIs, this is where you would API enable your existing applications, taking your application logic exactly as it is or changing it slightly, and having the ability to monitor those APIs as well as having a current view of your application ecosystem. At the exposed layer, you can empower your developers with an open and modern development environment, including modern IDEs, diagnostic tools, analyst tools, and improve productivity and provide capabilities that will be compelling to younger developers. So when you look at some of the tools here, we see IBM Application Discovery and Delivery Intelligence, Application Delivery Foundation for Z, ZOS Connect Enterprise Edition. We have service management tools for operations. And for down at the run and maintain, we have automatic binary optimization for ZOS and enhancements in the compilers. So that's the first, expose. The next step is evolve, automate, and transform. If you have exposed services and are realizing business value, you can then evolve further to have a mature, vibrant developer community that can expand value through delivery of additional business capabilities. At the evolve layer, you will bring in automation and transform the way you do things. This is where you automate your delivery pipeline, expand the use of APIs, and the ability to govern your APIs. On the operations side, at this level, you have performance visibility from device to back end. And some of the tools in this space, irrational team concert or control deploy. There's open source options. And then there's different things for testing and performance management. The next level is optimize, predict, and respond. With service exposure in place, efficient development and DevOps practices to meet the required level of agility to meet business needs, we can now accelerate those areas through further optimization. Transforming monolithic into more granular services can further accelerate agility where monoliths are the bottlenecks. Developer tooling to identify and assist with refactoring and updates further assist with optimization. Operations can move from responsive to predictive through analytics to see system behavior changes and alert with actions to prevent issues. At the optimized level, you have your mature capabilities. Many customers will see this as a visionary or aspiration level, depending on where they are today. At this level, you leverage advanced analytics to optimize development and take a more proactive approach to dealing with service interruptions, where you're able to predict and respond. We're going to be moving on, showing the common IMS transformation patterns that we're seeing with our clients. So we are seeing clients exposing IMS assets as APIs, using Java to speed development, using DevOps to roll out new functions quickly, and direct access to IMS DB using JDBC and SQL. IMS has been open and connected for many releases, and we continue to enhance this area, delivering open access to both IMS data and transactions. Customers can create RESTful APIs for their transaction assets, which enables them to harness new opportunities in the API economy. This approach has helped customers uncover use cases which enable them to convert IMS from a cost to revenue center. IBM's US Connect Enterprise Edition enables you to empower a wide community of developers with a simple and intuitive way to consume data and services hosted on IBM Z. It provides a single common way to unleash your existing market differentiating assets on IBM in the API economy. You can speed application development, empower application developers with critical data and services through RESTful APIs designed to be easily consumable. Harness new opportunities. Expose IBM Z assets as APIs without changing your backend applications. Use these APIs to leverage the API economy, creating new opportunities with developers and cultivate new customers. Secure and control. Host APIs on one of the world's most trusted platforms with enhanced security through pervasive encryption on the IBM Z14. So ZOS Connect Enterprise Edition features RESTful APIs to and from your mainframe, point-and-click API mapping with no code changes required, comprehensive subsystem support, and easy integration with API management solutions. A little bit closer look at ZOS Connect Enterprise Edition. It is the IBM strategic connector for all Z subsystems. It allows RESTful APIs in and out of IMS. It uses IMS Connect to access IMS TM and DB assets. The ZOS Connect EE serves up Swagger documents for each API exposes, creating a single endpoint for discovery. So the IMS service provider connects to IMS through IMS Connect, and services for the IMS service provider are deployed via the API toolkit. The tooling is really what makes it simple and quick to create APIs for IMS. The API editor, which is part of the API toolkit, is provided as an Eclipse plugin, is laid out in a way that encourages you to create an API that conforms to the RESTful architecture style. A backend service is represented in the editor as a SAR file. Then you can generate using the provided tooling. So you can see a picture of the toolkit here, and this is actually where you create your APIs. Now, testing. Once you've completed the mapping and deployed your API, you can test the API directly inside the editor using the built-in Swagger interface. The entire process of building, mapping, deploying, and testing the API happens within the editor. So it's one-stop shopping. ZOS Connect E also lets you call external APIs from your ZOS assets too. So in this case, you might have an IMS application, wants to go outbound, call a RESTful service using ZOS Connect E. Now this shows an example of code generation done by the tooling to provide code to call the API that is then embedded in an IMS application. Code generation is available for COBOL and PL1. So this is what really makes it easy, the tooling. So let's say you want to go, you have a COBOL program and you want to add a call to go outbound through ZOS Connect E. This tooling will generate these code snippets that you would then embed in your program. So again, try to make it easy for everyone to do this. Next, we're going to take a look at Java. Java has been supported in IMS since IMS version 7 in the year 2000. Many companies see the value in Java and have integrated Java with existing workloads and new workloads. Yet it's interesting, when I talk to clients, I still get some clients that ask, oh, do you support Java? Yes, we do, and we do it very well. So we have Java in multiple ways in IMS. So Java can run in IMS dependent regions. Java applications can run in JMP and JPP regions. Java can be called out of COBOL and other languages from MPP, BMP, and IP regions. And from IMS, Java can issue JDBC calls to DB2 also. CI/CS Java applications can access IMS data. A Java EE server can access IMS database. And then we've got all the distributed connections. So a JEE server, Java standalone tooling can directly access IMS database coming in through IMS Connect. Next up, we're going to take a look at DevOps. So DevOps encourages close collaboration between line of business, development, and IT operations. So let's take a look at some IMS examples of DevOps. I've got a couple of examples on the next couple of charts. This one shows a sample pipeline for Java. So in this case, Urban Code Deploy is used to orchestrate, automate, and deploy applications, middleware, and database changes into development, test, and production environments. Java Tooling IDE is IMS Explorer for development. Source Code Manager could be RTC or GitHub. Build is done using Maven, so it's used for building and managing any Java-based project. And in this case, deployed IMS using ZOSMF. So again, one example. Let's look at another one. So this is a similar example that uses Jenkins, which is an open source automation server. Jenkins provides hundreds of plugins to support building, deploying, and automating any project. So again, similar. The code's pulled from GitHub, built with Maven, FTP over, ZOSMF is there, but in this case, Jenkins is running the show. Open Database allows access to IMS database from a source other than an IMS application. Using JDBC or SQL to access IMS database allows the use of common tooling that is used with relational databases such as DB2. Now these show the various components in the IMS Open Database architecture. So we have an IMS Universal JDBC driver. It can take input from JEE, a Java standalone, and can also be called in a DL1-like format. IMS connects the gateway into IMS TMDB. ODBM is the Open Database Manager. That's the component that communicates with IMS database to process the database calls. Now, a structure call interface is in there. It provides communication between IMS address bases, and in this case, it's used for communication between IMS Connect and ODBM. Now, are you wondering how to get started with your digital transformation? A solution adoption kit is a set of resources such as articles, videos, blog posts, and sample code that help you through your application transformation journey. It's organized by user roles based on typical operations carried out by that user. For each user role and for each stage, there's guidance available to assist. With the kit, you can discover, learn, follow along the steps, and implement the solution in your environment, and then advocate for it. So we've got some solution kits around API, around Java, and open access. And we'll be expanding this over time. We also have samples available. So we're starting to put samples on GitHub, and these allow you to access IMS database from outside of IMS. And the samples on GitHub are intended to be able to help you speed up your development. And we're going to be putting more and more samples out here to try to help our customers find new ways to innovate around IMS. IBM Day Trial Program. This is something that some of you might have heard about, but most of you probably haven't. At zero cost and with short lead time, trying out the latest IBM Z software is now easier than ever. So the trial environments are pre-configured and ready for use. Get started with your chosen offering in hours, not days. Short, easy to follow walkthroughs included, so you'll experience your chosen product at its best in no time. So what do I really mean by this? Here we have examples. Now, this is not an all-inclusive list, but these are some of the things that you would see on Z-Trial. So, and we will be adding more at a regular cadence. So after you complete one of these tutorials, you can choose to extend them, or you can explore the rest of the trial environment. So the IMS trial. If you request this trial, you gain access to a pre-configured remote desktop environment where you can explore some of the IMS open access technologies by using IMS Enterprise Suite Explorer for development. The trial environment includes hands-on tutorials that explain how to use IMS Explorer Suite for development, to import and visualize IMS database and program definitions in the IMS catalog. And you'll also create and execute SQL queries to access and manipulate IMS database. In the ZOS Connect Enterprise Edition trial, includes hands-on tutorials that explain how to expose a CICS COBOL program as a RESTful API, expose an IMS application as a RESTful API, and call a RESTful API from a COBOL application, so like from your IMS application. We started with the why the imperative for digital transformation is so pervasive. The statement you see here is our why statement for IBM IMS, why we do what we do. We love what our clients build, solutions, using what we love to build, IMS. So we want to partner with you in your digital transformation journey. And I'd like to thank you for listening today. Trevor?
Okay, well, thank you very much. That was brilliant. Does anyone have any questions then for Betty? I'll just hang on a couple of seconds to see if anyone can type anything in. If you think of a question sort of after the session, then that's fine. You can just send it to me and I'll make sure it's passed on to Betty and we can ask her to get back to you with an answer. Okay, a couple of people saying thank you. No one's actually asking a question. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do because of the time. I will move on. Like I say, if you do have questions, then either ask them in the next few minutes or send them to me afterwards and I'll pass them on. So, Betty, then, can I thank you very much for that presentation? Very interesting. Can you assume that we're giving you a virtual round of applause?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let me just take control back. Okay. All right, well, I did promise you news, but in fact, I haven't actually seen any IMS news, so there isn't any to pass on. Articles, though, there's been a few. There's one IMS at 50 by somebody that was on IT Toolbox. There was a reliable transaction management system by Emily Sue and Jack Yuan, which was in IBM Systems magazine in June. And then we've got Accessing IMS TM and DB with Spring Boot by Dennis Gabler on Z Systems Developer Community. And then interestingly, we've got IMS 50th Celebration Contest. It's your chance for fame and swag. That's by Sandy Sherrill, and that was on Z Systems Developer Community. I think that the opportunity for fame and swag runs out at the end of this month. And lastly, then we've got Secure Your ODBM Threads Without Disrupting IMS Regions by Joseph Lehman on Z System Developer Community. And there's links to all of those on our website. Before I move on, let's quickly... question for you then, Betty. Peter Scarpinato asks, are there any restrictions if we are still on IMS version 14?
Are there any restrictions? With each of the releases, really, it's, we add new function in it. And if you're on an older release, you can't use the new function. Whatever restrictions we might have had for 14 would have come out when we announced IMS 14 in the announce letter.
Okay, thank you. Right, feedback requests then. Again, can you let me have your feedback about this meeting? You can email your comments to me, and my address is on screen there, or again on the fundy.com/virtual IMS website, you can use the Contact Us webpage. So, as you can see, our next meeting will be on the 14th of August. We've got David Mirofsky, who's Managing Director of Fundy Software, and he's going to be talking about a smarter way to manage and configure your IMS systems. And then after that, it's the 9th of October, when Rosemary Galvin, IMS Tool Solution Advisor at Rocket Software, will be asking you to rethink the way you manage IMS. Oh, and of course, can I remind you that you can keep up to date with what's happening in the world of IMS and on the Virtual IMS User Group website by following us on Facebook and Twitter, and you can also join the Virtual IMS group on LinkedIn. The URLs for all of those are on the home screen, but you probably can't write them down quickly enough. They are on the home page of our website. And again, can I ask you to like us? Everyone likes likes, so if you're on Facebook, can you like the Virtual IMS group? And if you do tweet or post on social media, our hashtag is hashtag Virtual IMS. Okay, well, that's all for this meeting of the Virtual IMS User Group. Excuse me. Can I thank you all for attending? I must thank Fundy Software, who sponsor this user group and make these meetings possible. And I'd particularly like to thank Betty Patterson for the presentation. So that's it. Thank you all very much for joining the meeting. And I look forward to seeing you in 4 weeks' time on the 14th of August. So thank you and goodbye.